Shadowkiss, Chapter 16. So are you? He teased. Yeah, but I just thought that I was human because of the bite marks. Yeah, I admitted, no point in lying. We all have to survive, he said. And vampires are good at figuring out ways too. Yeah, but most of us become guardians. I pointed out, especially men. I still could not believe he was a vampire or that I had not spotted it right away. Long ago, vampires had been born from humans and Morai getting together. We were half vampire, half human. Over time, Morai started keeping themselves separate from humans. Humans grew too plentiful and no longer needed Morai for magic. Morai now feared they could become human experiments if we ever discovered. So, no more Dampiers were being made that way, and in bizarre genetic twist, Dampiers getting together with Dampiers could not make more Dampiers. The only way my race kept reproducing was through Morai mixing with Dampiers. Normal logic could make you think that a Dampier and a Morai could make children who were Morai. No, we came out with perfect Dampier genes, half and half mixing some of the best traits of both races. Most Dampiers were came from Dampier women and Morai men. For centuries, these women had sent their kids off to be raised somewhere else so that the mothers could go back to being guardians. That is what mine had done. Over time, though, some Dampier's women have decided they wanted to raise their children themselves. They refused to be guardians and instead banded together in communities. That is what Drummond's mother had done. Lots of ugly rumors surrounded these women because Morai men often visited in the hopes of getting cheap sex. Drummond has told me that a lot of these theories were exaggerated and the most champion woman was not that easy. The rumors came from the fact that these women were almost always single mothers who had no contact with their kids' fathers and because some Dampiers could let Morai drink blood during sex. It was kinky, dirty thing in our culture and was where the nickname for these non-guardian Dampiers had come from bloodhounds. But I could never ever thought about a male bloodhound. My mind was reeling. Most guys who don't want to be guardians just run off. I said, it was rare, but it happened. Guys bailed on guardian schools and disappeared to hide out among humans. It was another disgraceful thing. I don't want to run off, said Ambrose, seeming very cheerful about all of this. But I don't want to fight Strigo either, so I did this. Beside me, Lisa was stunned. Bloodhounds stayed on the fingers of our world. Having one night in front of her, a guy no less, was incredible. This is better than being a guardian? I asked in disbelief. Well, let's see. Guardians spend all their time watching out for others, risking their lives, and wearing bad shoes. Me? I have great shoes. I am currently massaging a pretty girl and asleep in an awesome bed. I made a face. Let's not talk about where you sleep, okay? And giving blood is not as bad as you think. I don't give as much as a feeder, but the highly pretty niche. Let's not talk about that either. I said, no way could I admit that I know Morabites were indeed pretty niche. Fine, but say what you want. My life is good. He gave me a lopsided smile. But are not people like, well, are not they mean to you? They must say things. Oh, yes, he agreed. Horrible things. I get called a lot of ugly names. But you know where I get the most grief from? Others' Dampiers. More tend to leave me alone. That is because they don't understand what it is like to be a guardian, how important it is. It occurred to me with some uneasy that I sounded exactly like my mother. It is what Dampiers are meant to do. Ambrose, unkinging his legs and giving me a face full of muscled chest. You sure? How could you like to find out what you're really meant to do? I know someone who might be able to tell you. Ambrose, don't do it, groaned Lisa, manicurist. That is woman's crazy. She is Psycho Eve. She's not psycho, and you cannot take the Dragmorai prince to see her. The queen herself goes to her for advice. He argued back. That's a massive mistake, too, grumbled Eve. Lisa and I exchanged looks. She latched onto the word psychotics. Psychotics and fortune tellers were generally regarded with the same disbelief as ghosts, except that Lisa and I have recently learned that psychotics abilities we could previously believe to be fantasies were actually part of spirits. Hope that she might have stumbled onto another spirit user's shot through Lisa. We could love to see a psycho. Can we go, please? Lisa glanced at a nearby clock, and soon we have a flight to catch. Eve clearly thought it was a waste of our time, but Ambrose could hardly wait to show us. We put our shoes back on and were led out to the massage area. The spa rooms had been in maze of halls behind the front salon, and we soon found ourselves in another maze that was further back still. There is no directory here, I said as we walked past closed doors. What are these rooms for? Everything and anything people will pay money for, he said. Like what? Ah, Rose, you're such an innocent. We finally reached a door at the end of the hall. We stepped inside and found a small room that only held a desk. A closed door stayed behind it. Moray at the desk looked up, obviously recognizing Ambrose. He walked over to her and two got into a gut argument as he tried to get her to let us in. Lisa turned to me, keeping her soft voice. What do you think? My eyes were arm-rounds. That is all that muscle's going to waste? Forget the bloodhound thing already. I mean, about this psycho. Do you think we have found another producer? She asked eagerly. If a party boy like Adrian can be spirit user, then a woman who tells us the future probably can be too. Ambrose turned to us grinning. Susan was happy to fit you into the schedule before you flight. It will be just a minute while Rhonda finishes up her current client. Susan, don't look very happy about getting us in. But I don't have time to ponder that because the inner door opened and an older Moray man walked out entranced. He gave Susan some cash, nodded to the rest of us and left. Ambrose stood and made a wide sweeping motion towards the door. Your turn. Lisa and I walked inside the other room. Ambrose followed and closed the door behind us. It was like walking into someone's heart. Everything was red, plus red carpet, a red velvet couch, velvet brocade wallpaper, and red southern cushions on the floor. Sitting on the cushion was a Mora in her 40s with curly black hair and equally dark eyes. There was a very faint olive cast to her skin, but her overall look was pale, like all Morai. Her black clothing stood out in the stark contrast to the red room, and her jewelry, the color of my nails, gleamed on her neck and hands. I expected her to speak in a spooky, mysterious voice, one with an exotic accent, but her words sounded blandly American. Please sit down. She pointed to some cushions across her. From her, Ambrose sat on the couch. Who have you brought? She asked him as Lisa and I settled down. Princess Vasilisa Dragmoray and her guardian to be Rose. They need a fast fortune. Why do you always want to rush these things? Rananda asked. Hey, it is not me. They have a plan to catch. It could be the same if you don't. You're always in a rush. I shook off my arm off the room enough to pay attention to their easy banter and similar hair. Are you guys related? This is my aunt, said Ambrose fondly. She orders me. Ronalda rolled her eyes. That was a Sampiers. Dampiers rarely had connect with their extended Moray family, but then Ambrose was hardly normal. Lisa was intrigued by all of this too, but her interest was different from mine. She was studying Ronanda internally, trying to find any indication that the woman might be a producer. Are you a guy? I asked. Ronanda made a face and began shuffling some cards. I'm Roman, she said. A lot of people call us guy space. though the term is not actually accurate, and really I'm Morai first. She gave the cards a few more shuffles, then handed them to Lisa. Card, please. Lisa was still starting, half hoping she might see an aurora. Arden could sense other producers, but she don't have that skill yet. She cut the cards and handed them back. Renanda put the deck back together and dealt out 3 cards to Lisa. I leaned forward. Cool. There were tarot cards. I don't know much about them, only that they supposedly had mysterious powers and could tell the future. I don't believe in that stuff much more than I could ever believed in religion, but then until recently I could never believe in ghosts either. The 3 cards were the moon, the empress, and the ace of cups. Ambrose leaned over my shoulder to peer at the cards. Oh, he said, very interesting. Rananda glanced up at him. Shush, you don't know what you're talking about. She turned back to the cards and tapped the ace of cups. You're the verge of the new beginning, a rebirth of great power and emotion. Your life will change, but it will be a change that takes you in a direction that, while difficulty, will ultimately illuminate the world. Wow, I said. Renanda then pointed to the Empress. Power and leadership lie ahead of you, which you will handle with grace and intelligence. The seed are already in place, though there are an edge of uncertainty, an intimate set of influence that hang around you like mist. Her attention was on the moon as she said those words, but my overall impression is that those unknown factors won't deter you from your destiny. Lisa's eyes were wide. You can tell that just from the cards? Rhoda searched. It is in the cards, yes, but I also have a gift that lets me force beyond the ordinary people can perceive. She shuffled the cards again and then handed them to me to cut. I did, and she flipped 3 more over. The 9 of Swords, the Sun, and the Ace of Swords. The Sun card was upside down. Now I know nothing about this stuff, but I immediately got the feeling I was about to get a raw deal compared to Lisa. The Empress's card had shown a woman in a long dress with stars on her head. The moon had shown a full moon with 2 dogs below it, and the Ace of Cups had shown a bejeweled chalice filled with flowers. Meanwhile, my 9 of Swords showed a woman sobbing in front of a wall of swords, and the Ace of Swords was boring hand holding a plain iron sword. The sun at least looked cheerful. It had what looked like an angel riding a white horse with a brilliant sun showing above. Should not that be flipped right side up? I asked. No, she said, eyes on the cards. After several moments of heavy silence, she said, you will destroy that which is undead. I waited about 30 seconds for her to continue, but she don't. Wait, that's it. She nodded. That is what the card says to me. I pointed at them. Seems like they have got a little bit more to say than that. You gave Lisa her whole encyclopedia worth of information, and I already know I am going to kill the undead. That is my job. Bad enough I have gotten a Muslim fortune. It was also totally unoriginal. Ronaldo searched, as thought there were some sort of explanation. I started to say that she could better not even think about charging me for that crap reading when there was a soft knock on the door. It opened, and to my surprise, Drummond stuck his head inside. His eyes fell on Lisa and me. Ha! They said you were in here. He walked in and noticed Renata. To my further surprise, he gave her a low note of respect, said very politely, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to bring these two to their flat. Renanda examined him, but not in a checking him out kind of way. It was more like he was mystery she wanted to figure out. There is nothing to apologize for, but maybe you have got time for reading of your own? With our similar views of religion, I expected Drummond to tell her he had no time for her scam artist fortune telling. Yet the look on his face stayed serious, and he finally nodded and sitting down beside me, letting me smell the sweet scent of leather and aftershave. Thank you. His words were still perfectly polite. I, I will be brief. Rananda was already shuffling up my useless cards. In record time, she had them ready for cutting and had dealt out 3 cards in front of Dreamt: the Knight of Rods, the Wheel of Fortune, the Five of Cups. I could not get a feel of these. The gay Knight of Rods was what it sounded like: a man or a horseback with a long wooden spear. The Wheel of Fortune was a circle with strange symbols floating in the clouds. The Five of Cups showed 5 knocked over cups, spilling some kind of liquid out with a man blood with his back to him. Her eyes flicked over to the cards, looked at Drummond, then looked back at the cards. His expression was blank. You will lose what you value the most, so treasure it while you can. She pointed to the Wheel of Fortune card. The wheel is turning, always turning. The reading was not as good as Lisa's, but you have gotten a hell of lot of more than me. Lisa elbowed me in silent warning to be quiet, which startled me at first. Without even realizing it, I could open my mouth to protest. I shut it and glowed. Dermot's eyes was dark and thoughtful as he stared at the cards. I don't know if he knew anything about this stuff, but he was staring at the images as though they really held all the secrets of the world. At last, he gave Ronalda another respectful nod. Thank you. She nodded back, and then the 3 of us rose to catch our flight. Ambrose told us reading were on him and that he could settle up with Susan afterwards. It was worth it, he told me, worth it, to see you think twice about your fate. I scoffed. No offense, but those cards don't make me think much more about anything. Like everything else, this just made him laugh. We were about to leave Susan's little waiting room when Lisa suddenly dashed back to Ronaldo open doorway. I followed after her. Excuse me, Lisa said. Ronald looked up from more shuffling, her face troubled. Yeah, this is going to sound weird, but could you tell me what element you specialized in? I could feel Lisa holding her breath. She so wanted Ronaldo to say she had not specialized, which was often the sign of having spirit. There was still much to learn, and Lisa loved the ideas of finding others who could teach her, and she especially loved the idea of someone teaching her to fortune teller the future. Ah, said Ronaldo. A soft breeze rustled through our hair to prove the point. Why? Lisa let go of her breath, disappointment washing over me through her link. No reason. Thank you.